Hey everybody, it is finally March, the temperatures are warming up, the snow has melted, and there is no better time than now to get your spring garden started. So today I pulled out all of the seeds in my collection and we're going to find a better way to store them than Ziploc bags, boxes, or really anywhere throughout the house. The better you store your seeds, the longer they're going to last. So I picked up this photo organizer at Hobby Lobby and it was about $20. What we're gonna do is we're gonna assign a category to each of these dividers and a category to each of these seeds and put them together. I hope to be able to inspire you on what you'd like to grow in your spring garden this year, as well as give you some information on the varieties that I'll be growing. I am based in Ohio, Zone 6A, and where I'm at, my last frost date is April 25th. Now, typically you want to start your seeds about 6 to 8 weeks before your last frost date. Now with me, I generally like to do an extra 2 weeks or so, and my transplants are going to go out around Mother's Day. This is going to be different depending on what zone you are in. What you can do is you can Google Farmer's Almanac Zone Map, and you can determine which zone you're in. This is going to help you figure out what you should plant and when. Okay, so what I have done for my labels is I used a Sharpie and Scotch tape. I just put them in the top left. If you have a label maker, it'll probably be much easier to do a smaller width and be able to put them on the front of the organizer. However, I think this will work great for me. This is a very cheap and easy way to make labels, and you can replace them very easily if you want to change the category. First, I have my cool weather flowers. These flowers are going to like to be grown after your last frost date, but before the temperatures get too hot, around 80 degrees Fahrenheit. On the back of the seed packet, there's a lot of really good information. They're going to sprout in about 4 to 7 days. That's also known as the germination time. The ideal temp to grow these in is 62 to 68 degrees, but as you can see, they are frost hardy, which means that you can put them out as long as the temperatures are a little bit over 30 degrees Fahrenheit or so and below 70 degrees. After 70 degrees Fahrenheit, their blooms are most likely going to die off, so these are something I'm going to get started sooner than later. Same with my poppies over here. Their ideal temps are actually a little bit cooler, 60 to 65 degrees, and they are frost hardy as well. Now with my asters, I'm putting them in with the cool weather flowers. However, they actually have an ideal temperature of 70 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit, and it says they aren't frost hardy. I'm going to put these ones out a little bit later, but they do very good in cooler weather as well. Nasturtiums are a very quick growing flower. You can see the days to maturity is 32 to 40 days. You can start them 4 to 6 weeks before your last frost. If I'm going to start 4 to 6 weeks before my last frost, I'm actually going to have blooms by the time I put them out, most likely. Now when it comes to the forget-me-nots, they do need good drainage and they have very small flowers. They form almost as a bush. I'm not sure exactly where I'm going to plant them this year, but I have the seeds. Now we're on to our warm weather flowers. These are the flowers that after your spring blooms start to die off, you get to enjoy these until at least your first frost. Some of them are even a little bit tolerable of that frost, and you might even be able to get to enjoy them throughout early fall. If you haven't already noticed, my absolute favorite are zinnias. Last year, the only ones I grew were the Cupid mix, and they were the cutest 1-inch blooms. The bees absolutely love them. So this year, I'm planning on growing a little bit bigger blooms, and I'm doing a red-orange theme. Also last year, I grew coleus, but I bought them as transplants from the garden center. So these ones are really quick to bloom as well, 25 days, and I should have some leaves that look like this. The reason I want to grow these marigolds from seed this year is because when you go to the garden center, you can typically buy yellow or orange, and I want to be able to determine if I have yellow or orange blooms before I put them out. So since these are quick to bloom, only 45 days, I'm definitely going to start them early. Now something new I'm trying this year is called a butterfly pea blossom. So butterfly pea flowers are a type of flower that are actually used for a natural blue food coloring, and they are great in tea. My next container is sweet peppers. I don't have a lot. So the only peppers that I tried last year were the California Wonder, and they are absolutely beautiful peppers. They take a long time to turn from green to red. And if you look really closely on that picture, you can see that there's a little bit of darkness still left in the red. That's where it changes. So when they're changing from green to red, they actually get a little bit of a black color while they're changing. You leave them on the vine longer and you get to enjoy red. There's not much of a difference in taste. In my opinion, they're a little bit sweeter when they are red. However, the green's gonna be your standard bell pepper. All right, so with my hot peppers, I don't actually have many more seeds than the sweet peppers. I actually did most of my hot peppers from transplants that I bought from the garden center, with the exception of the Thai that's already opened. I did like the Thai. They are thin and about 3 to 4 inches long. Actually, I was able to fit 3 plants in a pretty small container. That's the good thing about hot peppers is they are pretty compact plants where you can fit a few in a container, whereas a tomato you can typically only have 1 plant per container. I really love the look of habaneros, so I think I'm going to try some mango habanero recipes later this year. And I bought these peppers not necessarily to eat, but I think they're going to look really cool with the habanero peppers. So I guess I'm realizing I definitely need to get some more tomatoes. This is the tomato variety I grew last year. These are Roma tomatoes. They're best for sauce as they are small. I don't recommend them for dicing. I mean, they definitely will work if you need to, but best for sauces. They say compact determinate plants. However, with my experience last year, they weren't so determinate and they just wanted to keep on growing, which isn't a bad thing. I ended up cutting them out because I just couldn't cut back anymore. So my next container is going to be sunflowers. Ones that I grew last year are down here. I didn't have any blooms with the Italian white or the caramel, but I did only grow in 1 container. I believe that it was the Autumn Beauty mixed colors. The good thing with mixed ones is you don't know what you're gonna get. Bad thing with mixed ones is you also don't know what it's gonna bloom, so you can't really plan. This variety definitely caught my eye last year. It was a little bit too late for me to plant them, so I saved them for this year. They look like they're going to be about 4 to 5 feet tall and only take 60 to 65 days to bloom. Probably going to start these in about May. Reason being is because I like to have late blooms for my sunflowers too. I like to stagger my plants, and that means you don't have everything blooming at once. You can have sunflowers in July, August, September. It's the best part about being able to space them out. This pack actually came from someone on one of my gardening Facebook groups I'm a part of. She posted flower pictures of her garden last year. They were absolutely gorgeous, and she was offering seeds if anybody wanted any, so I cannot wait to see the varieties I'll be growing this year. All right, let's talk about carrots. With carrots, you actually aren't going to be starting these from seeds indoors. I would recommend direct sowing them, and I also recommend direct sowing them into a container. The reason being is because you get to control what type of soil your carrots are going to be growing in. Carrots like this variety, which I had the best success with last year, they say they're 10 to 12 inches long. So one, you're going to want to have a container that's at least 10 to 12 inches deep, but you don't want to have any rocks in the way. That's why carrots get misshapen and crooked, is because they hit rocks and they're not able to grow to full maturity. When you have well-draining soil and well-worked soil, you're able to grow long carrots, and literally mine looked exactly like this. Highly recommend. These carrots are called short and sweet, and they're only about 4 inches. These can be planted in containers that are a little bit smaller and more shallow. The reason I keep recommending containers, again, is just because of the soil quality. You're gonna grow better carrots in better soil. Squash has a very special place in my heart because it actually was the first vegetable I started researching to learn how to grow in containers. I really do enjoy growing squash. It's very quick growing and it is a pretty big plant, so I would recommend, just like the packet says,
only about 1 plant per container, and you're gonna get a quick harvest of about 50 to 55 days. Now, I'm not gonna start any of my squash from seed, and if I do, it might be about 2 weeks or 3 weeks before I plan to put them out. Reason being is you don't want them to grow quickly and flower before you get them transplanted. Their roots are very sensitive. You don't want to disturb their roots when you're transplanting them into the garden. Best bet is to just direct sow them right into your soil. So I decided to put beans and peas together just because I knew I didn't have a lot of them. So when it comes to beans, there's actually 2 different types. You have bush beans and vining beans. The reason I specifically chose bush is because I was growing in a container that did not have a trellis system. If you have a trellis system, then you can definitely grow vining ones. So the good thing about the blue lake beans is you can grow them in either the bush variety or the vining, and they're the most common types of beans that you usually find in the grocery store. You can see down here that they have 53 days to harvest, which means they're a quick growing plant, and I will not be starting those from seed indoors. I will be direct sowing them as well. This is my first year growing sugar snap peas, and these are going to be a vining plant, so I will be growing these up my trellis this year. So since we're talking about vining, let's talk cucumbers. Now cucumbers come in different sizes, varieties, and colors. Such as the lemon cucumber. It's actually the size of a lemon and yellow, but tastes like a cucumber. So I'm really excited to grow that variety this year. Boston pickling cucumbers are, as the name implies, best for pickling in a smaller variety. Space Master cucumber is going to be best grown if you're wanting to do like a container garden. I would prefer a Space Master cucumber because of its compact size, but its ability to grow close to a full-size cucumber. The other 2 at the end here, the long green and the poinsettia 76, I might not have the space or trellis availability to be able to grow these cucumbers. Now what cucumbers like to do is if you do not let them climb, they will sprawl. They have tendrils that will attach onto your fencing or your trellis, and they will be able to grow up. You have to remember that cucumbers do have some weight to them, so your trellis has to be able to hold that, which is why I'm going to stick to the smaller varieties. I actually have 2 different containers for my herbs. I didn't put cool weather and warm weather just for the purpose of my organization. I know that I have a lot of herbs, so I eventually will fill both of these up. But cilantro and parsley are more tolerable of cool weather, below 75 degrees, whereas basil, oregano, chives, and I threw catnip in there, they are more tolerable of warm weather. Now the thing about herbs is when you are sowing them, you can definitely direct sow, or you can start indoors to get a jump start on them, or you could grow completely indoors. They are great for small containers and they don't need too much light, so sometimes you can grow in a sunny windowsill or under a small grow light. I have 2 different varieties of basil this year. I grew the Genovese basil and it was absolutely delicious in my pastas, and I'm gonna try sweet basil this year just so I can have 2 different varieties. Oregano is a very strong herb and it has really small leaves. It's compact and it will start to bush out. Cilantro and parsley, they look almost exactly the same, so make sure when you are starting seeds that you do label them, or you will not be able to tell the difference between these unless you smell them. I named this container Miscellaneous Greens, and the reason is because I didn't really have a good category for free seed packets, and I know it's random, but I don't have an onion container yet, so this is gonna go in with the greens. Spinach, it is a lettuce, but not, so I'm putting it in here. And I'm just gonna be honest, I'm only growing the Swiss chard for the color. I don't know if I will like the taste, but they are going to be really pretty in my garden in about 2 months. Most of the time when you buy from small gardening shops, you will get free seeds. I'd like to thank all the gardeners who do this. We really do appreciate it, and it's exciting getting a free variety that we've never heard of. One of my absolute favorites is this giant red mustard greens. It was absolutely gorgeous in the garden. So I just realized I forgot to put this with the tomatoes. This is called an orange hat tomato. I saw it last year and I literally placed an order with just this. I had to have it. They're only supposed to grow 6 to 9 inches tall, and they are more ornamental, but they are edible. So cute. So we are getting down to the last of the vegetables, broccoli and cauliflower. I picked up this purple variety of cauliflower and I am so excited. It doesn't taste much different than the white variety, but color in the garden is priceless. So when it comes to broccoli and cauliflower, these are all cool weather crops. When it comes to cool weather crops, you want to make sure they are harvested before the weather gets warm. Just like your cool weather flowers are going to have their blooms die off when the weather gets too warm, your broccoli and your cauliflower are actually going to go to flower. So what happens is with cool weather herbs, vegetables, they will go to flower and they will send up shoots. These are really great for pollinators, but they're not great for us humans because it makes the food inedible for us, or at least it doesn't taste the best. I would recommend starting your broccoli and cauliflower pretty early, and I'm gonna get those started literally later this week so I can get these out as soon as possible. I'm actually going to be able to put the broccoli and cauliflower out before my last frost date, as they are frost tolerant and they are ideal for 50 to 75 degrees. So I really can get these started this week. Now let us wrap this video up with lettuce. Lettuce is another cool weather crop unless your lettuce specifically says that it is heat tolerant. When you look on the seed packet, you can see that it's tolerant about 40 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit, and it is a cool weather veggie. You can direct sow outside a couple weeks before your last frost, as it will be okay to take those colder temperatures. Lettuce grows really fast, and so in about less than 2 months, you are going to be able to go out and make your own salads. If you've noticed, I really like the gourmet blend, so I picked up a couple different. They also are called salad blend, and you'll get purples and greens and be able to have a really colorful salad. I did not have any luck with my iceberg lettuce turning into a head, so I prefer leafy greens. Lettuce is also a great thing you can grow inside as well, just like your herbs. Small containers they'll do great in. Just make sure you keep the soil moist.
Wow, it's crazy. You really don't realize how many seeds you have until you start going through all of them, and I still need more. I have so many seeds that are gonna need to get started this week in just a few days. It's the first week of March, and I wanna get most of these out by the second week of May. So I hope you wanna come along this journey with me. So go out to the garden center, get some seeds, and in my next video, I'm gonna show you how you start them indoors to get a jump start on your spring garden. Comment down below of varieties that you're excited to grow this year and any questions that you may have. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I can't wait to see you on the next video.